Welcome to Why on Earth, where we search for understanding of current events, their meaning for you and me, and the purpose behind them. Today's episode, the politics and narratives of our elections. Within the democracies of the West, there exists a great sense of pride and a vast feeling of superiority that its citizenry is permitted to vote for their leaders and governments that address what matters most to them. In recent elections, our politicians play to the fear of losing those cherished rights of freedom, wealth, and democracy. Online and legacy media craft narratives about who and what would remove these. The idea is to convince voters that they will lose what they value most if they do not elect a certain leader or a government. Tribes, now labeled either progressive or far right, support or reject political viewpoints on any issue, and media narratives drive people into differing camps that vehemently oppose one another. Opposing sides on the political spectrum and their patrons in media are concerned about what is popular with the majority, not what is right for the people within a jurisdiction. Elections have become echo chambers, a cheerlead for the supposed accomplishments of those holding power, and sounding boards for those who want change in the major issues of our day. There are obvious moves to eliminate opposing candidates: Donald Trump in the US, Marine Le Pen in France, from standing for election and then replacing exposed incumbents like Joe Biden in the US, Justin Trudeau in Canada, not to mention the many allegations of outside influence and fraud in many recent elections. Of course, there are the issues of our time to consider. The woke movement promotes diversity, equity, and inclusion, which only serves to further racial division, cause gender confusion, and destroy important institutions and corporations in our countries. The green obsession to eliminate fossil fuels, natural fertilizers, animal protein, and the innumerable products using mined and refined materials cause widespread economic instability, shortages of food and critical materials, and energy deficiencies that alternative sources cannot compensate for. Mass migration over the past decade has included 300 million persons, almost half of which have landed in Europe or North America. They have brought their culture, their religious values, agendas, conflicts, and their votes for those who allowed entry. Among more recent matters affecting the outcome of elections is the return of history. That is, centuries-old conflicts between East and West in Europe, the Middle East, and other areas of the world. And when policies on these four matters fail spectacularly, the narrative becomes a newly aroused nationalism that is conjured by President Trump. Tariffs. We won't wade into the malaise within this commentary, but there's a lot of entitlement thinking on all sides of this convoluted and largely misrepresented issue. Europe is divided on issues like woke and green and immigration and war making, and it shows within recent election results. However, what all Europe seems to agree upon is meeting the challenge of an international trade war initiated by the United States and the threat to their security without U.S. funding and resources. In Canada, the same government that has held power for a decade has reinvented itself from being responsible for endemic national economic and social woes to being the only one that can stand up to Donald Trump's demands on trade and security. Now, it is said that in a democracy, the people inevitably get the government they deserve. Support through voting only for what is good for the individual or tribe, and abiding and acting on inaccurate or contrived narratives will bring us the adversity we would merit. The consequences of elections based on such politics and narratives are not only seen at the national but the international level, and they are changing the existing world order. There's a realignment of nations, EU, BRICS as examples, with increased resources and capability and very little tolerance for differing viewpoints and aims. Presently, they oppose each other, but both blocs are moving to challenge the current world order dominated by the United States economically and militarily. International organizations like UN, WEF, WHO, IMF, NATO have become shadows of their former selves and are headed for diminishment and even extinction without U.S. funding and resources. It seems we are being set up for a new world order that will remove our valued freedoms of wealth and democracy due to perceived existential risks that prior policies on either side of the spectrum cannot resolve. The biblical book of Revelation describes what a changed end-time world order will look like. Chapter 13 and verses 15 to 17 of Revelation, he, the second beast, was granted power to give breath to the image of the first beast. And the image of the beast could both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast to be killed. And he causes all, both great and small, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand and on their foreheads, and that no one may buy or sell except one who has the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. No freedom, no wealth, or wealth for some, and no democracy. Do what we say, or you have no access to life's necessities, or you might even be executed. This very oppressive regime will come to an end with the return of Jesus Christ to assume all kingdoms, as we find in Revelation 11:15. And that powerful event will not feature an election with the politics and the narratives as seen in our day. Thank you for watching Why on Earth. Feel free to watch more of our videos on this platform, and don't forget to visit our website at whyonearth.ca, where you'll find material and spiritual resources to assist you in your life's journey. Goodbye for now.